Yes, we're delighted to have you join us on another great episode of Enterprise Morning on Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. In a bit, we'll be going to our newspaper headlines to see what we have for you this morning. And after that, will be our main conversation also for today. Please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Also like, comment respectfully, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. With me today in the studios to do justice and peruse through our newspaper headlines is Cyril Abaku. He is a journalist and also a public affairs commentator. Good morning to you, Cyril.
Thank you.
And welcome to Enterprise Morning.
Thank you.
Good. So quickly, let's start off with the Daily Trust newspaper for today. And the big story here says terrorists abduct over 80 in Katsina. And the writer here says women among victims. The military confirms the Sunday soldiers killing in same area. And also on the top strip of the same newspaper, three of a protest don't derail our plan for power sector, federal government tells Labour. And still on the top strip of the same newspaper, we have federal government eyes a 20 trillion pension fund for infrastructure development. And also on the bottom strip of the same newspaper, ASU gives Tinubu 2 weeks to constitute universities governing council. Cyril, let's talk about this issue. Terrorists abduct over 80 in Katsina. Like we did say a couple of days back, you know, when it comes to issues of insecurity and banditry, terrorism, criminality in the northern part of Nigeria, it's not as the modus operandi of the military is not as swift and as crispy as seen in the southern part of Nigeria. And I guess that's the reason we keep seeing continuous escalation of these issues. So why do you think that is so? That's number one. And secondly, what do you think the military should start doing in order to stop such kind of crimes happening?
Let me start by saying that when the headline said 80, more than 80 abducted, I think I am now inclined to think that more than 80 were given away, not abducted.
When you say given away, literally given away?
I don't know who gave them up, but I think 80 were given away. We are not fools. You can't. There are some stories when we hear them, we wonder whether somebody is being economical with the truth or is being really forthright with what is coming out. 80 persons can be kidnapped like that. That's not just a threat to that's a threat to world peace, to stability in West Africa and everywhere. 80 people can be kidnapped. They were given away. If it was really a kidnap, right? It would have been a kidnap. This thing has all the trappings of something very artificial, something very inorganic, something very unnatural, something surreal. Again, I don't believe that they were kidnapped, that they were abducted. I think that they were given away.
Please, to what ends?
Now, well, how can I tell except that the evidence shows that. So, on Sunday, terrorists, over 200 of them, went to an army camp or something, engaged the soldiers in 2-hour gun duel. Air component was called in. We didn't hear that a single terrorist was killed.
While they killed 5 of our men.
And injured 11. Those are official figures. But it was bad enough for them to relocate the camp
totally
elsewhere. The story doesn't add up, but it's okay, we can live with it. 24 hours later, or less than 24 hours later, terrorists come back to that same place and kidnap more than 80. Somebody is either not doing his job properly. Have you ever seen where maybe there was a crisis of fracas involving soldiers? You know, you can't go to that place. Like, just imagine what it would even look like. They will send people to mount the whole place and so on and so forth. So how the terrorists now summon the courage to come back to that same place again, kidnap more than 80? Can I tell you? The story is coming out in bits. But I'm not sure somebody has been truthful enough to give us the full picture of what really happened. And that's why I've been bothered, because if in sincerity we were getting the truth, it was like when Lai Mohammed back in the day lied and said that
allegedly.
Well, he lied. Lai Mohammed lied. What he said was that Boko Haram had been technically defeated. that they were only pursuing soft targets. But under their own government, that happened. Under their own government, so people opened fire on the president's guard.
Convoy.
Under their own government, Abuja was almost overrun. Under their own government, we were told the armed robbers attacked Aso Rock. That an armed robber was caught in Aso Rock trying to.
But now, particularly knowing, yes,
I'm coming to
yes,
this.
right,
Yes.
yeah.
So what happens is that when you tell people, villagers that everything is okay, you can go back to your village communities and towns. When the enemy has not been overwhelmed and routed, what happens? They go back there with a sense of reverie, everything is fine. When they are attacked, they can't defend themselves. But if they knew the truth, that the war is far from over, even if someone wanted to go back, they may say, okay, my children should stay back. Let only me, as father or as man, go back. You know, people can make decisions. Is that not what we do in the media? We provide information for people to make decisions that are informed. This is what we do. Full stop.
Now, knowing particularly that this is happening in the former president's home state, don't you think that is worrisome, particularly for the fact that he was an ex-military officer?
Back in 2014, I used to tell people that Buhari was going to be a serious error, that it was going to be a serious mistake voting Buhari into power. I said it time and again on radio. Barristers Mondo Bani, barristers, I think it may be even Evans Ofeli, barristers, the likes of Tunde Rogumati, the likes of Charles Deho, the likes of, and the regular callers, even the brothers of Shoma, the regular callers, they will tell you these things. I said it time and again that this Ambrose from Adedeji from who used to call back in the day, I told them voting Buhari into office was going to be the most retrogressive step Nigeria was going to take in the 21st century. And it turned out to be. The Buhari years are what I count as Buharistan. No, it's not Nigeria. Because he was not aware of anything. He was an absent-minded president. Nigeria was turning into a dystopia under his watch. In fact, we indeed became a dystopia. A dystopia we became. Now, the issue of... Let me tell you what happened under Buhari in his own state. The fallacy and fantasy of an ex-military leader will become president and insecurity will go away. It was all fallacious. In America, they've never... Okay, they've had a number of former retired army generals. Dwight Eisenhower, I think Ulysses Grant and so. But in reality, what does it mean? The Americans were torn between Donald Trump and Biden the first time. They chose Trump. When they even had John McCain and Obama, they chose Obama. You know what I mean? So yes, so even in fact, when they had the choice to choose between a movie actor and actor Ronald Reagan, they still chose Reagan, if former actor. What a president needs to do. In fact, there was a president I had didn't even know the difference between a battery and battalion. It became what America does is that you see the Oval Office is a hallowed place. It's a hallowed ground. Only the best of their brains enter there. And the advice they give the president as what has kept America as a world leader till today. Okay? So even if you're not even if you're shy of information, as president, you'll be fed, you'll be told what to do. You get good advice. On Buhari's watch, do you know that Governor Masari, who is a frontline Buhari disciple, I'm not just talking about, he is a Buhari disciple. Buhari handpicked him and made him governor of Katsina State. Do you know that Governor Masari cried out and said, Buhari has abandoned us? That's sacrilege. But he had no choice. Matters came to that pass. Have you forgotten that while he was president, the emir of Daura was kidnapped? Buhari's own village. The emir of Daura was kidnapped under Buhari's watch. It was on Buhari's watch that when the governor of Katsina didn't know what to do, Aminu Bello Masari didn't know what to do again. He had to offer the bandits amnesty. One of them, was it Toji also? I can't pick his name. One of them came to the meeting with the governor, slinging his gun to his shoulder. So if you say that, Buhari has left office, he will tell you he has left office. He has left office. Even when he was governor, even when he was president, it may not be right to say he didn't know what he was doing. If when he was president, things were that bad. I now wonder what you expect that he would do any different thing. If his own person couldn't command anything, what should his image do?
Now let's talk less of Muhammad Buhari. Let's focus our attention on our military. Back in the days, the ECOMOG, they were the liners ensuring there was peace in different nations across Africa. Don't you think the military, the Nigerian military that is, has the capacity of totally reducing or exterminating these things out of the face of Nigeria if really they were serious about doing this?
If I was president, bless such a day, if I was president, I won't even use the army.
What would you use?
The police is enough
To
rout, conquer, overwhelm, resist, and beat back Boko Haram to dust and ashes. They have it. Don't we know this? People, they won't tell you. The Nigerian police has up to 6 or 7 specialized units that can beat Boko Haram back. They did it one time, was in Adamawa or somewhere, including using helicopter. You see, when you talked earlier about the Nigerian army, and this is Buhari, I wanted to remind you that, in all truth, the reason why we have not been able to overcome Boko Haram is because of politics, the politics of security. And in a matter like this, it will take a president who is worth his guts, I have told you that to change Nigeria, you need the fire that Elijah called on in the Bible and the rod of Moses. Henry. Yes, you need the rod of Moses and fire of Elijah to change Nigeria.
very true.
Anything other than that is a waste of time. And that's why, you see, for a lot of things, people like us who make public commentary, we say the things we say because that's what the headline is talking about. But in reality, in retrospect, Nigeria always throws, for those who are mature enough to understand what I'm saying, Nigeria always throws up scenarios that make you ask, can we continue as one country? Is it worth it? Is it necessary? Those questions always come up all the time. I believe we can continue as one country. It should be on record. I believe we can pull through, but it will take another kind of leadership, not the current one that we have.
Currently. All right.
It can't take us to the promised land.
All right, well said. Let's move on to our next daily, coming from the Guardian newspaper for today. Illegal mining. Nigeria's $1.8 billion gold reserves mined into private pocket. And right below the story, we have Fubara hits harder, says Rivers are battling huge debt left behind by Wiki. Tinubu suspends the implementation of cybersecurity levy, and Nigeria considers compulsory installation of CNG pumps, fuel stations. Cyril Abaku, we have many interesting stories
The
here.
major headline on the Guardian interests me.
Which is Nigeria's 1.8 billion.
Yes,
gold
there was
reserves
a
in
time,
private
dollars.
pockets.
In fact, there was a time somebody
dollars.
used propaganda to say that illegal mining had robbed Nigeria of about 8 trillion. This was back 10 years ago or more. Or 9 or 10 years ago. That 8 trillion had been lost to illegal mining. Now, illegal miners are that's a booming industry.
Yeah.
And the federal government's intervention has at best been that of a latecomer to the party who is angry that he has not been given his own share of the loot. And is angry for his own share of the loot. He's not willing to. I would have expected that by now, given the strong global appetite for lithium, that by now we would have secured a major groundbreaking investment in lithium in the North Central.
So why do you think that it's not coming?
Why will they come? When you be announcing things that have not happened. You announce that the UAE has opened the door for Nigerians to travel, but when they've not opened the door, almost a year later, you will lie and say that Maersk is entering into a deal with Nigeria. When Maersk has not entered. So, when Nigeria has further lost its trust capital, if you know what I mean. Business is built on capital. Capital is equity. Nigeria has lost its trust equity significantly. We went and said, when they said the president was traveling to France, that investors were flocking to him from everywhere, including Switzerland. We went to France and came back. Nothing came out of France. Then he went to India for G20 summit. They said Indian people had agreed to invest $14 billion in Nigeria. Where is the $14 billion today?
According to Bayo Onanuga, he said they've had some trickles.
Well, Brian Onuga is Baba, so I wouldn't join issues with him. But the reality again is the fact that government is not doing the right thing.
Now, talking about government,
if
not
you want
doing,
to deal with so 1.8 billion going to private pockets, why then will they come? Why are we hoping to get further more global investment even in oil and gas when the majors are divesting?
But sorry, I would love to drift a bit on this particular case. When it comes to oil reserves in the Niger Delta region and solid minerals, mostly in the northern part of Nigeria, I know growing up in Jos Plateau State, we saw tin mines. And that was when this corruption had, it's been there. It's a perennial issue. My question is, why is it that when it comes to issues of reserves that should be shared amongst a Nigerian state in the north, it's given this blanket of let's just allow it slide. But when it comes to the oil reserves in the south, it's everyone's share.
So I will be very, very pragmatic, very naked with the answer. Every individual, every society, every tribe, every clan, every country, every church, every religion, every whatever you are, you must be a person or people of consequence. The simple truth is that the North has what it takes to command its own terms. If you can do the same in the South, so be it. If you cannot, then keep quiet and be an onlooker. You must be and frankly, I think this should be a philosophy of life for even individuals and countries. You must be a person of consequence. If you walk out of the room, will you be missed? Will they beg and call you back? Will you be? If it could all go on without you, as if you didn't leave, it means you went there in the first place. So let's ask ourselves. You've asked the question. Why is it a different ball game? I remember last year at the NBA conference in Abuja, somebody asked the question pointedly. The lawyer said, we're seeing a lot of activity in the South. You'll even see government foolishly going to bomb an entire oil vessel. Instead of them to arrest the vessel, take the content, investigate who owns the vessel, then arrest and prosecute, they would just bomb everything into the water, kill sea life and kill everything. All of those things will be paid for someday. Even this 1.8 billion, they didn't steal it. The day will come when all of these monies will be repatriated to Nigeria. You see, we'll be recouped. The Legiwa used to say when he was alive, his blessing, he used to say, every evil deed done to man will be redressed. If not now, then certainly later. If not by man, then certainly by God. For the triumph of evil over good can only be temporal. These monies are locked up in places. Okay? The day we have a determined government that is serious about rebuilding Nigeria, they will come out. What federal government has done is that in the Niger Delta, they send all kinds of JTS. Oh, they are fighting. But in the north, what did Buhari even do? Mind the thing. Then send us the what belongs. Is that not fiscal federalism already? Is that not resource control? So the question is, what consequence can you provide when you are unjustly treated? If you can't provide any consequence, you will explain and think into nothing. But the day you have the capacity to provide, something that is tangible and meaningful, they'll say, okay, instead of that option, please come, let's have a negotiation.
All right. So quickly before we, set sail, and the last daily we have today is coming from the Vanguard newspaper, and the big story here says federal government calls committee, Labour insists on May 31 deadline. But particularly we have an interesting story here. Tinubu Shatima now to pay toll gate fees at airport, federal government. Cyril Abaku, what's your take on this? Do you think this is coming too late after so many decades of giving these people exemption?
It doesn't make any much difference. It's welcome anyway, because it's what anybody should do for a president. It's welcome, but what difference does it? What I think what we really need to do is to cut back on cost of government, the cost of running government. Can we slash it by like 70%? How much does the president use to cut his hair? How much does he use to buy newspapers in Aso Rock? The one that is living in a house built with 15 billion naira Okay. How much? So these are, you see, every country, every government, you know what I wanted to propose now? Can we walk back by saying that all those who are within a particular income threshold, because of how much government has also been waived for government over the years, should be given rebate for the next 6 months or 1 year?
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Because the reason I talk about free power, free electricity is because Nigerians have been robbed, have been pummeled, have been beaten, have been dispossessed, have been disinherited of what belongs to them. They've suffered for only too long. So the only way to serve them social justice is to look for critical sectors of the economy and create a buffer for them.
Like the subsidy we used to have.
Like you see, even the subsidy we used to have. Later on, now, how much have we now? What we lost in subsidy. If you know the corruption that was called subsidy, it was it stank to high heavens.
Which of them? Is there subsidy before Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu
or subsidy after?
Yes.
Well, you see now that in itself is even another morass. So what do? The primary thing is to serve Nigerians justice, is to serve them some level of rebate or reprieve. And what do? We need to identify corridors. I've talked about power and education that can help to elevate them into high ground, okay? Or into then we cannot talk about, and that should be for like the next 50 to 100 years. That is because what people have stolen since 1960, you can't believe it. You can't. It's unthinkable. Now because Mr. Kemo took a proposal to say VIPs and that only the president advised. Then the president said no, even they should pay. The money is negligible actually. These things came from colonial rule, you know, because the British, if you look at Europe, like I mean even the British, they live for the crown. So the crown is always exempt from a lot of things. So when they came to colonial Africa, that was because it's their culture of government. Those in authority had a lot of perks and privileges. That is part of what has corrupted our country today. Because those in power have, you know, the sirens and everything. Once it's coming, all the long titles of right honorable doctor. So we
took it to another level.
So yes, another where all those in authority have to be venerated and literally worshipped. But I have said it time and again. It is not just about removing waivers and stuff like it. Let us rethink how we want to properly democratize as a people, because democracy, of course, is the way to go. What will be our own indigenous, homemade philosophy of democracy? Look at Israel. Israel has its own unique democracy, very different from what America does, different from what you have in Europe. The Israelis are peculiar. So can we think of something that is indigenous to us? We've had more than 50 years of social science research, from UI to Port Harcourt to Ilorin to all these places. What have they said? What can we do to remodel ourselves as a country, as a society, and as a civilization that is what its name in the community of nations?
Very true. And just to imagine that what used to be Asian tigers were countries that we all started with and equally learned from us. But they are far, far, far ahead from us.
Singapore, Malaysia, and Co.
Yeah, Malaysia, from third world country, they've gone to second world. Some of them are first world countries.
It is even possible now to do it in shorter time because of technology and because of the new Nigerian diaspora movement. It is, look, in 2 years, we can reverse 80% of all the jackpot that's happened in 10 years in the past. We can reverse the law come back. What they're looking for, you think they're very happy there? They're not. What they're looking for is a society that works. Rail systems, etc.
Electricity.
You know, I said the education and power. People say, how can my children grow up in this country? For fear of that, they run away. So if you have for me, these two, I think I used to say, free health, free education. For me, in today's Nigeria, with free education and free power. With these things on the road, I can tell you that the world will be too small to contain Nigeria.
Very true. Of course, that's just about the time we have for our newspaper headlines today. Love to say thank you to Cyril Abaku for being part of our show.
My pleasure.
And just to let you know that Cyril Abaku will still be with us to do justice to our main conversation today. But when we return, the Niger State Speaker to marry off girls as constituency, a project that in a bit. Please don't go anywhere.